Hello everybody, my name is Corey the Sea, and today we are going to be going over how to animate in Clip Studio Paint. And real quick, just to let you guys know that here on YouTube, I will not be doing any more live streams on here due to all the fun stuff whenever it comes to the musics and demonetization. And I can't make any money off of it at all, let's be honest here. But I still want to be able to help you guys out. And so basically what we're going to do is go over the simple fundamentals whenever it comes to what I'm doing whenever I'm animating and what's going on through my mind. We're going to be having the video be playing in the background at a very fast speed, but I'll be explaining what I'm doing during this whole entire ordeal. Right now you guys are seeing a little speed paint I did before of Spinel from Steven Universe, and let's just say that one was a very fun piece. It took me a good solid chunk of time, but it shows a little bit of all the fun little things I get to do while making an art piece. All the stuff that I transform, copy paste, the little shortcuts that I do. But I'm basically going to be going over this while I'm watching this go. So let's see what happens. But first let's talk about what I'm using. I'm using Wacom's Antique tablet, and this is a 13 HD Wacom's Antique tablet, which is an absolute phenomenal piece of hardware. Whenever I purchased it, it cost me about $800, but now it looks like you can get them for around $400 on Amazon. I'll have a link in the description below, and also I use Clip Studio Paint, which I use the EX version, but you can get the Pro version for about $54 on Amazon, and I'll put that link in below. Now, let's get into what I'm doing whenever it comes to this animation. This animation is just basically me and a Pokemon, which is Toxtricity from the new Pokemon game. And basically what I'm doing is roughing out the idea. Whenever I was originally coming up with this idea, I was just wanting to draw the Pokemon. And drawing the Pokemon, yes, it's really cool and all and having fun, but I wanted to take a little bit of a step further. At this moment in time, I honestly did not know what I was going to do. I was just moving it around, trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and actually, I was trying to find references as well. And whenever it comes to the preliminary sketch, you saw that I kind of had a skeleton of the Pokemon going at the very beginning. The reason why I was doing that is because whenever you're doing your base sketches, you want to plot it out. You want to have kind of the skeleton, the action line, everything like that whenever you're first drawing the character. You want to have a game plan. If you go blindly into whatever you're wanting to do, then your piece can come out in a really weird way, or things are not going to line up, or things just don't feel right. So right now, I'm still figuring out, why not make it so that I'm giving Toxtricity a high five? That'll be fun. And I realized that the legs felt a little short to me. I know that he has really short, stumpy legs, but it felt a little bit more short, and I'll probably be fixing that in just a minute. Right now I'm going through and doing the little chest thing that he has going on. Yep, right there. I realized that the legs looked really janky, so I was like, your boy gotta fix that. And that's the fun part, let's be honest here. And now I'm going to be trying to do a little hand on the hip type gesture. And actually I'm making it so that he's thrusting his hips out just a little bit to make it look like he has an air of superiority. Because in Pokemon, and if I remember right, in his description, he looks down on everybody because he's so freaking tall. So I was wanting to play on that, is that he's a freaking tall Pokemon, and I'm a very short person. So I was like, yeah, it would be kind of fun to make it look like I'm trying to give him a high five, but completely and utterly missing the mark every single time. But I'm going to talk a little bit about Clip Studio Paint's animation program. Whenever I first got Clip Studio Paint, it did not have anything to deal with animation. And that's why I went over to Krita to do most of my animation things. Then I realized that Clip Studio Paint had an update that they did do animation, which was great. Whenever it comes to the Clip Studio Paint Pro version, if I remember right, you can only do 25 frames in their animation, but the EX you have unlimited frames. The downside was whenever it first came out, you could not add any audio, and whenever it came to placing your scene or placing layers or frames was very awkward. Whenever I did it in Krita, it was a very easy process and I loved it. That's why I went over to Krita doing all my animations. And actually I'm having a little placeholder for myself right there so I would know where I was going to be. And now I'm just going through and inking. As you can tell, I'm putting the ink on a separate layer and actually in a folder as well. So the folder itself is going to contain all my colors and inking and shading, while the below sketch I actually turned down the opacity so I could actually see what I'm doing. But going back to the animation software, is that they've done many updates, put it so that you can do audio and everything like that. It's been a fun time seeing how they've incorporated more animation into it. And honestly, now I've actually stopped using Krita as an animation software and gone over and kept on doing it through Clip Studio Paint. You might be wondering how I'm getting these crisp, clean lines. These crisp, clean lines are actually because of my stabilizer tool, which you can see in the left side, right underneath where you see the mapping pin. You'll see where all the properties are. My stabilization is all the way up to 100. That is how I'm getting my crisp, clean lines. And also a clean taper off. If I turn that completely off, you would see really janky, just mauled or disgusting looking lines, or grungy looking lines if you want to call it that. With some people's art styles, that works beautifully. With my art style, it does not. And I started seeing right there that that one chest thing didn't seem right. So you'll see a lot of undo, redos, all that little fun stuff. And trust me, it takes a long time. And as you can tell, my inking looks way more refined than my initial sketch. There's a reason behind that. Is that whenever it comes to my rough sketch, it's just giving me a rough idea of where everything is going to be. My rough sketch does not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be crisp, clean. I want to be loose and messy and just get an idea of what I'm doing. Because see, with the fingers, my fingers are completely different than the original ones that I was going to do. And the reason behind that was that I could tell that his fingertips were a little bit wider than the base. So instead of going exactly how I did on my preliminary sketch, golly, I can't talk today, I decided to make it so that I could go and do whatever I want. I didn't have to follow the sketch. It's not that it's color in between the lines or color inside the lines. Whenever it comes from a sketch to an inking, that inking is where you refine everything. You close in on what you want. And there's another trick that I do too, that I don't do out here, is that if I'm having to overlap lines, I will even do another layer, go into that layer above my ink layer, do the line, let it overlap, and then erase so I don't mess it up. Which is a great idea. Also, it's great to sketch behind. So if you have a hand somewhere, if you sketch behind where the object's going to be, or the hand's going to be, like say if you have a tail or the rest of the body, sketch it so that you can see where it's going to be. And that you can keep it all consistent. And now I'm adding all these little extra details. And now I just added a layer and I called it my base layer. Pulled in an image for color reference, and now I'm using my magic wand tool. My magic wand tool, if you see, I have area scaling turned on, and also I have my, give me just one second, my refer to multiple layer on. So refer to multiple layer, that means that if I select something in my base layer, like do a selection, it will look on my ink layer and be like, oh, so I'm selecting this area that's in this ink layer, that's all I can select. And then I'm just dropping the colors in real fast. You can see the marching ants are actually, or the line, like I call them marching ants, they're into the black line a little bit. That is what area scaling is. You turn that up a little bit and bada bing, bada boom, it makes it so that you don't have those gaps in between your inking and also your color. Now, this is where I decided to do animation. And I put a background line so that I know a reference of where I'm going to be sitting. I just turned on the animation window, added a new animation timeline, and now I'm doing really quick base sketches of understanding where my character is going to be. I'm putting him in a squatted position so that whenever this is what we call keyframing. He's in a squatted position, ready to jump. Next one is going to be the jump, where he's at the apex of his jump, the highest point of his jump, and he's reaching up. And basically what that is showing is that, okay, from this frame to that frame, he's going to be jumping. I have my onion skin on, which is going to be that selected little blued out thing right down there, right above my timeline. That shows that I have onion skin on. So basically what onion skinning is that I'm able to see what I did in the previous frame. And now, right now, I'm mapping out, okay, he's going to jump up, slap, fall down. And those are my keyframes. And I actually played it a little bit. And right now I have it running at 12 frames per second. You can do 24 frames per second. That's a lot more animation and a lot more time. This is a really basic animation that I don't want to do tons of frames. So I'm doing a basic 12 frame animation. And now I'm going through and adding more details in my base sketch. Because the first one was posing, this one is actually going through and showing more details. So that I understand, okay, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm going to go. And yeah, it's really fast. Golly, okay. And I actually had that's a cool part about digital art, is that you can move stuff after you sketch it. Which I wish you can do with traditional, but you can't. Unless you cut it out. So now that's my first pose. Now I'm going to my second frame, and instead of redrawing the exact animation, I'm using my transform tool, my free transform tool. Your free transform tool is going to be your friend in animation, because whenever it comes to squash and stretch, it helps tremendously. So you don't have to redraw each and every frame. You can just copy, paste out of the frame, or duplicate the frame, and then transform it. Right now, I'm going and making it so that my body rocks in an arc form. Not an art form, but an arc. And basically what that is showing, that in a principle of animation, is that everything moves in an arc whenever it comes to the human body. There is a natural pivot point. And what I'm doing is showing that I'm going through that pivot point and going up. So I'm going back a little bit and then springing forward and up. That is exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm moving my arms so that they kind of stay in the same spot. So it shows that I am literally moving my arms up and sinking down. And I'm about to ready to do the initial jump. And also I'm using anticipation whenever it comes to that rocking motion. And now I'm slowly closing his eyes so that whenever he goes for the actual jump, the eyes are slowly closing. When he jumps, his eyes are closed. When he reaches up there, he is going to open his eyes. And now it just looked really funny. So right here, I actually took a recording of it and posted it on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, because it was just a funny little thing. Normally, I only do it like once or twice to see if this actually works. Go in, add a little bit extra, make it so that he moves farther, moves smoother, whatever it takes, and all that fun jazz. But right now, I'm basically just having a little bit of fun, and wow, this is way taking too much time. Come on, Corey. You can post it. You can get back to work. This is done really late at night. I think it was like at least 12. Oh, there we go. Like 12 o'clock at night. And now I'm stretching my head so that it makes it look like I'm moving fast. So that, and also with the thing whenever it comes to squash and stretch, is that you remember to maintain the same mass. That's the trick of squash and stretch. You don't add mass. You don't take away mass. You just move mass. It's conservation of matter. Science. Stay in school. And now, right there, I should have stretched him a little bit more, to be brutally honest, because it looks like I'm losing mass. And it kind of looks weird if you lose mass. It's kind of like the bouncing ball effect. You can have a ball that stretches super far, but if it just starts losing mass and becomes like barely visible, then it's just like, oh, okay, but it still takes up the same volume almost. It's kind of weird. And now I am doing like that. There was a motion blur previously, which was the long, like for my hand going up. That was a motion blur to make it seem like my hand's moving really fast. It's like trailing. And now my eyes are snapped open, reaching for his hand. Trust me, onion skinning is the best thing you can ever turn on whenever you're animating. Because if you don't do that, then, whew, buddy, you are going to have a blast. And I moved myself up just a little bit more and a little bit more forward so that I'm reaching up and reaching towards him. And also I made sure that my hand's back over there so that it doesn't seem like my hand just disappears randomly. And here's the cool part. Toxtricity is in the background. He is not animated in the slightest. So the only thing that's animated is me. But whenever you look at an animation, a lot of animators will do something that's like, well, if it's going to be just there, I'm not going to animate. I'm just going to have it as still frame. And a lot of things can be very well done with still frames, just moving the camera around. That's all you got to do. And now I'm making it so that I missed. So basically what that is that I move my arm down because whenever you swing, your arm moves down a little bit more. So it makes it look more natural. So I was thinking here, I was going to have to do a landing animation and everything like that. And it was going to be a pain in the butt. But watch, I'm going to cheat hardcore because I knew that this was going to be a loop. And if it loops right, then you can cheat hardcore. And see, I duplicated that one, and now I'm just adding my arm falling down, and then the reaction of, oh snap, I missed. And I added a little bit of a motion blur, brought it down a little bit more, and now, here's where I'm going to cheat hardcore. Because you think, oh, I'm going to have to do a landing animation, it's going to suck, it's going to take a lot more time. But then, whenever I played it, I realized, oh, it loops really well. I don't have to do a landing animation. Because I had that rock in the beginning, it looks like it could work. And now I'm going in and doing a little bit more like nitpicky stuff of, okay, I don't want it to be like that. I want to make it so that it goes forward like this, so that it seems more along the lines of I can loop it easier. When it comes to art, please understand that you gotta cheat sometimes, or you're gonna go insane. And whenever it comes to animation, if you can cut corners to make it so that it still looks good, but you're doing less work for it, then why not? Don't reinvent the wheel if the wheel's already been invented. Don't be dumb. Absolutely don't be dumb. We are not dumb people. You heard me? But now I'm just going through and making sure that everything flows naturally, moving him a little bit, and right now I'm adding another folder to my timeline, and now I'm just adding all the base colors and inking. So with this inking, remember whenever I said your transform tool, your free transform tool is your greatest ally and greatest asset whenever it comes to animation, is because right here, I'm going to do one inking, but it can be the same inking for the next 4 or 5 frames. Because I just duplicate the same one and just continue to work with that. Don't reinvent it. If I'm going to squash and stretch it, like I did it in my preliminary sketch or my draft sketch, then that's what I'm going to do. I want to be smart about it. So now I'm going through and go, oh, I hit the wrong thing. I should have just duplicated it instead of done a new. Now I'm just going to go through and basically free transform it. And oh, actually now I'm doing colors. Now here's the deal with this. If you're going to be doing shading in your animation, do not put all your base colors in the same layer. You're going to screw yourself up unless you do a multiply layer on top and then you can go over it. But you're going to have to find a color that shades all of them perfectly. But right here, because I'm not doing any shading at all, I'm making sure that I can put all my base layers, which are my base colors, all on the same layer. Reason being, it makes it so much easier because I'm not going to have a ton of layers to hone in on and make sure, oh, I had to be here, oh, I had to be here, or I had to be here. And also, I'm making multiple selections. What that means is that I go to my layers, both layers that I have there, I hold shift and select both layers. Then I can go to my lasso tool and transform, do whatever I need to do. And now I'm doing the squash and stretch. You're going to hear squash and stretch at least 100 times in this episode. The reason being why squash and stretch is so important is because it's a big fundamental principle of animation. Because there's only 12 principles of animation, and that one personally is one of my biggest and favorite ones of all time. And now, because that rock is going to be the anticipation, then you got the action, the reach. I should have made it so that his hand grows, my hand grows bigger whenever I'm reaching for it, or his, for Toxtricity's hand. If I did that, it would add more emphasis to, oh, I'm almost there, and then I miss. And the reaction of the missing is that my eyes go wide and my mouth, instead of being shown teeth, I make it into a small O and go, oh snap. I missed. I jumped up and I missed. I was so close, but I missed. Now, oh gosh. Also, a big thing whenever it comes to animation is that please make your characters very simplistic. You're gonna have to draw this character a good, like with this one, I've had to draw this character 7 or 8 times. But whenever it comes to a larger animation, you might have to draw that same character 100 times or 200 times. And if you have tons of really detailed things, it's gonna drive you up the wall. And you're gonna sit there and hate and loathe making that character so complex. Same thing goes whenever you're making a webcomic or a comic or having an OC. I mean, if you're going to draw this OC only like 2 or 3 times in a year, I mean, it's fine to have tons of details and everything like that. But if you're going to be constantly drawing this character every single day, you want to streamline this character. You don't want to take up a ton of time. And whenever it comes to animation, this animation, if I remember right, only took me about 2 hours to make. Yeah, it's kind of weird, and whenever I saw that it only took me 2 hours, I freaked out, because I thought it took me way longer. But the big thing is to make sure that everything is streamlined. Everything that you're doing, you have to be quick at it whenever it comes to art. Because the faster you are, the more that you can put out onto social media and everything like that. Or, if you're doing commissions, the faster you can put out commissions, the more money you can make. Little tricks of the trade. Trust me on this one. And now I'm going through and adding all of these colors and all that fun jazz. And you can still see the little bit of the motion blur. The motion blur still has the same skin tone going throughout, making it so that he could basically show that he's going fast. But I put the motion blur on the wrong side. I should have put it on the back of his hand, to be brutally honest. And now I'm just raising him up a little bit, adding a little bit, boom, 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 done. Making as many boo-boos as possible. Man alive. And now I'm moving the fist in a little bit. And the reason why I'm moving the fist in is just because whenever you reach, you want to put your hand in. Now it's just basically going through and adding all the small little details. So now I can talk about a little bit more about Clip Studio Paint as a program itself. I've used Photoshop, I've used Paint Tool Sai, I've used Krita, I've used Medibang, tons of different art programs. And don't get me wrong, tons of those art programs are phenomenal. The reason why I've always stayed with Clip Studio Paint is how friendly it is to the actual artist. And it feels far more natural to draw with. I mean, I've tried to draw with Photoshop, and Photoshop is a photo manipulation software. That's what it basically is, and that's what they market it as. But a lot of people use it for drawing and painting. It's more of a painterly one, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, it's a great program. But whenever it comes to Clip Studio Paint, it just feels far more natural to do art with. And it could be because I've been using it for years, but that's beside the point. I've also used Autodesk Sketchbook, and also I've used Procreate. Procreate on the iPad, fantastic. The thing with me is that, to me, Procreate feels like more of a painterly, and I'm more of a cartoony person. And with the cartoony person, you gotta make sure that you can do inking, bold lines, all that fun stuff. And I know a ton of people who can do amazing cartooning on Procreate. Great program. 10 out of 10, would recommend it to anybody because you can do speed paints really fast on there and it records it itself. I would love if Clip Studio Paint could do that. But unfortunately, Clip Studio Paint can't do that. So I have to use OBS or Streamlabs powered by OBS to do any recording of any speed paints I do. Which makes me sad. And also whenever I'm on my iPad and I want to pump out something real fast, I can't record it because if I screen record it, it takes up a ton of space on my iPad, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. But whenever it comes to working at home, I love using my Wacom Cintiq tablet. Clip Studio Paint, I just absolutely love it. It's a joy to use. But whenever it's on the go, I always use an iPad Pro with a Apple Pencil. The iPad Pro cost me about $350. I got it used. And the pen, I bought it for $100. And basically, it's been absolutely wonderful. I would recommend it for anybody. The downside is I wish that because I bought Clip Studio Paint EX, I can put it on 2 computers. But unfortunately, with Clip Studio Paint on the iPad, you can't transfer over my license. I can't do that. But I can transfer things via the cloud, but I can't transfer my license. So I have to purchase Clip Studio Paint again as a subscription-based program for every year. And EX is like $74 and Pro is for $24. For Pro, I would do it most definitely. Pro's perfect enough. EX, I would not pay $75. Reason being, I have it on my computer already, completely downloaded and everything, and I don't have to pay per month or annually or anything like that. I love that it's not a subscription-based software. But that's just me. So wrapping up, I basically finished the animation, and I'm just going through and double checking all the fun stuff about it. Wrapping up, what I would suggest is if you're going to animate, please make sure you have a storyboard or something like that. Remember the links to the Wacom Cintiq tablet, the Clip Studio Paint program, and everything else is located in the description below. If you like this, please hit like. If you want to see more of this content, please subscribe, hit that bell so you get notified whenever we put out new videos. And thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, put them in the comments so that I can help you all out. And maybe I'll make it into the next video. You all have a great night, or day, or whatever. Keep calm and draw on. Peace out.